Hello and welcome to Gardening 36582. Now, as you can probably tell, it's incredibly windy here and we're in the middle of Storm Eunice. Okay, and I don't think there's going to be any gardening at all this weekend. Let's just hope that greenhouse stays up. And yesterday, Storm Eunice with massive winds. Today we got snow and rain. But the really pleasing thing is, and I really am absolutely over the moon, the greenhouse has survived pretty much intact. Absolutely over the moon. Superb. And there's still snow up on the hills, right by our house. Very nice. And here's a sight I really didn't expect to see. Me inside the greenhouse. It's dark on the roof because we've got the tarpaulin over at the moment. But I'm just so glad to be back in the greenhouse. Not totally out of it yet. We've got more winds forecast tomorrow and Monday. But fingers crossed. Now I can't do any regular gardening today, so I've decided to come out to the greenhouse and I'm going to put some linseed oil on my beehive frame. The support, if you like. So you can see the linseed oil going on, and what that does is just give it some weather protection, so it oils the wood. So just under halfway through, just going to finish it off now. The wind's picking up again. I've got a real worry now that that end of the greenhouse is open, there's panes of glass missing, so we're going to try and get a tarpaulin up on that to protect it from any wind coming in this direction. All sealed up from this end now, and again fingers crossed because the wind has got up considerably, and there's wind again tomorrow and Monday. It's on a wing and a prayer, but we can't do anything more than what we've done. And today the weather is rain all day and strong winds, of course. And last night we had a takeaway, nothing to do with gardening, but I couldn't eat it all. But I put 2 tubs out for lunches at work next week. Nothing goes to waste.
Not in this house!
And talking of waste, there was a lot of packaging. And even that's not going to go to waste. Because the takeaway we use, everything pretty much is recyclable. And I'm going to recycle all of that very shortly. Now these 2 containers, I'm just going to rip them up, fairly small, and put them in my conventional compost bin. And before you compost anything, make sure it is safe to compost. And I'm pretty sure this is. And again, that's good to see. And everything's ready now for shredding up for worm compost. And what's that look like when it's been all shredded up? That's how it looks. Okay, so it's quite small. And with the help of the worms, it does break down quite quickly. Now, even in all the doom and gloom of this bad weather and high winds, there's still signs that spring is on its way. Now you've got to remember, we've got our snowdrops out. With the extra altitude we've got, we will be probably a couple of weeks behind everybody else. But really pleased to see snowdrops out. And we've got daisies growing in the lawn. Happy days. And all of the pheasants in our wildlife area. And that's what we use it for. Absolutely lovely. And I was going to go down into the wildlife area to check if we had any frog spawn. But with all the pheasants in there, I'm not going to disturb them today. Lots of daffodils waiting to come out, and the poor old crocuses look decimated by the weather. And these are some of the daffodils that Claire moved in the autumn, and they look like they're going to make a really spectacular show. Now daffodils always look best when planted in big clumps, and obviously this is quite a big clump. Now with the big storms that we've had recently, and I've just been told we've got Storm Franklin coming in now on Sunday and Monday. We've completely sealed off this end of the greenhouse and that's the way it's going to stay. So I'm not going in the greenhouse today for any reason. I don't want to disturb that. It looks fairly good at the moment the way Claire's shut that off. So no greenhouse today. And this is the only damage to any of the trees that we've had. Now if that's the only damage, when you compare it to Storm Arwen, we've had a maple tree drop down overnight. We haven't done too bad. And seeing this standing, I think is quite a miracle. Promise you a miracle. I'm still standing. Fingers crossed it just stays up for the next day or two, and hopefully the storms will have passed by then. Should you cover your compost bins or not? Here's the question. Now then, you saw me shredding up the kebab box. If I put that in there, the wind would just take it everywhere. So on a day like today, definitely an advantage to have a covered compost bin. And that's a really good sign. This is quite new compost. And already there's quite a few compost worms working it. They'll disappear now because they don't like the light. And also into this week's compost, we got wood ash, some kitchen scraps, and I'll be tipping them in very shortly. And there we are, a week's worth of kitchen scraps. All in the compost bin, and now I'm going to cover it up. All covered up, and Franklin ain't going to be blowing any of that stuff around. You got to think smart. And the really pleasing thing is, even in this awful weather, there's still delicious fresh veg out in the garden growing. So fresh veg for our Sunday dinner. Any trimmings, boil them up to make stock for soup, and any veg can be for dogs' dinners. And 4 delicious vegetables out of the garden for Sunday dinner. I poured the water off the vegetable trimmings in to some homemade soup. I'll let that simmer for a while, and later on we can have that for a starter. Well, I've just added some creme fraiche which needed using up, and we've now got soup that's called, well, it hasn't got a name actually, but I've just tried it and it's absolutely spot on. But this isn't a cooking site, it's a gardening site. Now, as you know, I'm one of the most extreme gardeners out there, but even for me today, it's a bit too much. So at that point, I'm going to say farewell. Thank you for watching Gardening 365 82, and please join us next time when hopefully there's a bit less wind for Gardening 365 83. Bye.